Would you like more money? Sure, we all do. Just consider us your Sally Struthers this week. We are here, winner takes it all, to help take you to the bank and win you some money. That's what we do. Clint Schweitzer, Noah Groniger, our guy from the Chuck Shoot podcast, Chuck Shoot. Easy to remember. How's it going, buddy?
Well, I'm a little bit poorer from after last week, but I'm ready to rebound. I think, well, actually, I'm going to say next week is going to be the rebound. After the third week of the NFL, you kind of know what teams are going to do. The first 2 or 3 weeks, you're like, I don't know. Like everybody's 1-1 right now. Like I think like 80% of the teams are 1-1 or something. Like next week, you'll know they'll either have to be 2-1 or 1-2. They can't be 50-50. So we're going to see who's going to take off their mask this week and reveal the true teams.
Well, we're calling this week redemption, Noah. I mean, the first couple of weeks, we've all had our ups and downs. That's what gambling's all about. And we always urge you to bet responsibly. And remember that we're not professional sports handicappers. But Noah, this week, we're going to maybe play that role a little bit. We're going to help win you people some money. I mean, what a service we provide. My goodness, just like Sally Struthers.
Yeah, I'm back here. I was gone last week. I'm sorry I missed the show, but after week 1, I was sick from those picks. And so you're probably wondering why I'm sitting here, because I'm sick from last week's picks as well. But we are going, I feel like we've got some momentum here. We've got some things figured out. Yes, maybe next week will be the week that we all just hit big, but I think we got some winners this week, so I'm excited to get into it.
Well, I mean, our show last week, Chuck, you and I previewing Chiefs and Chargers, so much has changed really since that moment. Chiefs win that game, get to 2-0. I mean,
I called it. I called that one. I think that was the one that I was right about.
Yeah, that was, and I don't think I ever took. Yeah, you took the Chargers in the spread, and I think Noah as well. So I had it a 10-point win for the Chiefs. The Chiefs led by 10 until the final second. So, man, it was one of those razor thin backdoor cover type situations that we see time and time again. So we got your college, we got your NFL picks, guys. I mean, when you get to this point in the season, do you just get the feeling that you start figuring more out, you start learning more about teams, you start seeing trends, you start seeing what teams are, and especially in the college game when a team starts off with a couple losses, take like a Nebraska, Kansas State loses it to Tulsa last week, to Tulane last week. And it's just like their seasons are over. And this changes the course for a lot of these teams, Chuck.
Absolutely. Yeah. You're going to start seeing, but remember, there's always those upsets too. Like, especially in college, there'll be these random upsets. It'll be a team that's like 8-0, 7-0, 6-0, whatever it is. And then they'll remember the time with the year it was like Clemson was like, I think they were number 1 or 2 or something. And they lost to like Syracuse. Yeah. And it was just bizarre. And there's going to be those upsets. So watch out for that, because it could be pretty dangerous. And it can ruin your parlay, like last week with Arizona State losing to Eastern Michigan. Although I did have redemption because they fired the coach afterwards.
On the field, Noah, you caught that video. Was that Herm Edwards fired on the field after the loss to Eastern Michigan? Is that what happened, what we think?
Yeah, the president and AD are standing in the end zone. They call him over. And at one point, Herm Edwards just says, "That's fine." So he's got his arm around him. He said, "I understand. Yeah, that's fine." So
we didn't hear what they actually did. They just say you're fired?
We're speculating.
Words, I'm sure, like, "Herm, we love you, but you just lost Eastern Michigan. We can't do this anymore."
Yeah, you just lost to Eastern Michigan at home.
Yeah,
come on.
We got to let you go. I'm so
embarrassing.
Sorry.
Yeah, and that was a pay. So they paid upwards of what, $500,000 to $1 million for that game to come in and have a team beat you at home and then lose your coach. It's this is going to be interesting. We may have some games here that could be some firing implications. We're going to get to them. Noah, I'm going to start with you, buddy. Zone in, folks. Get your pencil and pad out. Get your Big Chief tablet out and your number 2 pencils, because this is where it gets good. This is where you want to know. And I know that we all know the Big Chief tablets and the number 2 pencils. That was back when we used, we wrote stuff down. We all were there in that era. Crazy to think. Noah, win us some money. What do we got here? What am I looking at?
All right, you mentioned Kansas State losing to Tulane. Now they go on the road to number 6 Oklahoma. And so I think it's a 13-point spread. I don't know if I can really jump on the spread there, but I am taking them on the money line, Oklahoma. App State, the college football gods are smiling on them. They lost to Troy, except they beat Troy on a Hail Mary, tipped back, caught, wrapped around into the end zone for the game-winning touchdown there at the very end. Insane. So App State smiling. The college football gods are smiling on them. I'm taking them. And then USC on the road at Oregon State. These are all money lines. I Oregon State in Corvallis. It kind of scares me. Not enough that USC is going to lose the money line. I couldn't do it, but I've definitely got number 7 USC there. So that's plus 134, those pack of 3 games on the money line. And then all these are money line. This is a big parlay for your college football parlay. I had it last week because Marshall beat Notre Dame on the road, and then they're traveling to Bowling Green. Looks like a high school game out there when you look at the footage of that. Unfortunately, Bowling Green won in overtime. It was insane. And so I lost the parlay on that. It couldn't have happened. They beat Notre Dame on the road. Then they go to Bowling Green. Somehow they lose. But these are going to be your winners. I just can't see it any other way, but I couldn't see it last week, so be careful. Cincinnati at home against Indiana. Memphis at home against North Texas. Florida State, they're just starting off the season well, 2-0. They've got Boston College coming in. I like the Seminoles there. Number 4, Michigan, you got to love them at home against Maryland. Washington at home against Stanford. Utah on the road at Arizona State. They can't beat Eastern Michigan at home, so I think they're going to have a little bit of a problem with a new coach after firing Herm Edwards. Number 13, Utah comes in. Again, that's only plus 134, but these are going to be your winners. You can feel good about that. Then we're going over to the NFL slate. And again, I'm sticking to the money line. We'll get to some spreads here in a little bit. Ravens on the road at the Patriots. The Patriots barely beat just kind of middling Steelers team with Mitch Trubisky there. And the Ravens lost a heartbreaker to the Dolphins, but I don't think the Patriots can have enough firepower to stay with them. Jags on the road at the Chargers. Justin Herbert's nicked up. Keenan Allen's nicked up. But and I know the Jaguars just beat the Colts 24-0, but the Chargers at home, they're going to rebound. They're a strong team. So I've got the Chargers there. Eagles look like the best team in the NFC right now. So I've got to take them even on the road at Washington. And that's your plus 196. Now, here comes the fun. We get some spreads, folks. Bills -6 at the Dolphins. Everyone, the Dolphins are the NFL's darling. Not so fast with Josh Allen coming into town. I've got them -6. Rams -3.5. I know the Cardinals came back and beat the Raiders there in the closing moments. Kyler Murray running around in the backfield, looking like a little kid, keeping a toy away from his parents that are saying, no, it's dinner time. You've got to put the toy down. No, Kyler Murray running all around, and he gets the victory, gets in his room, slams the door on his parents, and he's getting to play with that toy a little bit longer. Rams -3.5, though. They've got Aaron Donald. They've got the Cardinals right where they want them. So that's a plus 264. Then here's my lock, folks. I had the lock last week. It was golden. Everything was roses. Noah's finally hit his lock. Only the Browns did not cover because they allowed the Jets a late touchdown and then an onside kick recovery and another touchdown. And so my lock kind of busted there. But this week, only -5.5 for the Chiefs against the Colts team. I know it's in Indy. This is their first game at home, but I'm sorry, Indy, they just got blown out 24-0 to the Jags. So I've got the Chiefs covering easily there. So definitely put your money on that. And this is the last week I'm doing it, folks. I've taken the Bengals minus the points each week. I'm 0-2. This is at the Jets. They just had the miraculous victory, come back from behind against the Browns, but they're not doing it again. I can't see it. The Bengals get off the schneid, and they beat the Jets by at least 6. Come on, they got to be able to do it by at least 6, and that's my lock.
Man, yeah, the Bengals are just and complete anomaly. What's going on? I mean, this was the hottest team. They came into Arrowhead down 21-3, beat the Chiefs, get to the Super Bowl. And you guys, I have a theory about Super Bowl losers. You go back, you look at Super Bowl losers like the Carolina Panthers back in 2015. Super Bowl losers, the San Francisco 49ers. Now, they were within just a blink of an eye of getting back there this year. But Super Bowl losers, guys, the next season, it just always tends to be a dive. So is that what's going on here with the Bengals, or is this a team that's going to work its way back in AFC North? I can't predict a thing about it.
Well, I think Joe Burrow, he had his appendix out, and he's 0-2 without an appendix. He hasn't won a game without his appendix. So I don't know if he needs to get a new appendix or what, but there's something going on with him. I don't think that first game he threw like 4 interceptions, like something's off, and I think that's thrown the whole team off.
They're struggling on the offensive line. They played TJ Watt and the Steelers in week 1, Cam Hayward. So that was a struggle. Then they faced the Cowboys with Micah Parsons and a good defensive line to Marcus Lawrence. That was a struggle. And now they're facing the Jets. They do not have a strong defensive line. They drafted Jermaine Johnson out of Florida State, who's got a sack already, but it's not going to be as troublesome as the Steelers and Cowboys pass rush. So I'm expecting the Bengals to get back on track.
Well, Chuck, I know you're going to get us back on track. Let's go to your first slide here. Take us through this. This is pretty self-explanatory here.
What the hell am I doing betting on the Browns? But it's again, it's one of those things on DraftKings where you get the early win. So if they go up by 7, you win the bet. And my instinct says the Steelers are going to win this game. So I'm going to do kind of the George Costanza, and I'm going to do the opposite of what my instinct is. So I'm going with the Browns. Thursday night, it's always crazy. Again, they only need to go up by 7 if you take the money line, and then you win the bet if you do it through DraftKings. Then my parlay, I've got a 3-pick parlay. The Bills, yeah, I mean, come on. I'm with Noah. The Bills are going to, I think they're going to destroy the Dolphins. They look like the hottest team in the NFL right now. And then I've got Stefan Diggs scoring a touchdown. He scored 3 last week. I think he can get 1. And will the Bills score more than 24 over the Dolphins? Come on. Yeah. Like again, unless something crazy happens, my instinct says all this is going to happen. So maybe I should do this George Costanza on this and bet on the Dolphins. But I mean, this would take a lot for the Dolphins. I mean, the Bills look scary good. They look like they're already ready for the Super Bowl now. So unless, Allen gets hurt or something crazy, I feel like the Bills are just going to, the Dolphins could put up a fight, but I feel like the Bills are ultimately going to destroy them.
And you like something this Chiefs up here. Lots going on here. Yeah.
So, I mean, Kelsey, I think, what did he have? 12 touchdowns last year. So you got a pretty good chance of him scoring a touchdown. I don't know what the exact percentage, but per game. But I mean, it's definitely more than a 50-50 shot of him scoring a touchdown. Mahomes getting more than 250. That's almost a given. And then again, if Kelsey has that good games, I think he's averaging over 60 yards a game. And of course, you figure they're going to get more than 24. If the Colts just gave up 24 to the Jaguars, I feel like this is another lopsided game on paper. But again, maybe the Colts do something, make some changes, and they show up differently. But I don't see it. I think they're pretty discouraged right now after last week, and they might try hard and they might try too hard. And then Matt Ryan gets benched, and then they bring in whoever the backup is. So then it's even more of a blowout.
Yeah, that looks good. I like that, guys. If you're expecting the Chiefs to go on the road and put on a show here, as the Chiefs tend to do, a great road team. Patrick Mahomes 7-0 in domes, Chuck. So you got something here. And now we got more on this. If you're into Browns and Steelers, you got to be all over Chuck here and what he's got.
Yeah. Well, this is just because they have those boosts or whatever on DraftKings. I love these kind of boosts. And so this is a little bit more of a long shot if all this stuff happens. But again, I don't think it's that far-fetched. You got Nick Chubb scoring a touchdown. I don't know how many he had last year, but it's probably close to 1 a game. So that's a very likely. Over 65 yards. I don't think that's unreasonable. Steelers having 2 sacks. Yeah, because am I crazy? Is it TJ Watt? Who's the really good defensive lineman they have?
TJ Watt is great. Unfortunately, he tore his pec.
Oh, shit. Well, I still think they're going to get a couple sacks on the Browns. Jacoby, is it Brissett? Is he the quarterback? He's not the super mobile.
Jacoby Brissett, yeah.
He's not going to run around too much. Najee Harris, again, scoring a touchdown. That's pretty likely. I think the Browns can get at least 17 points and the Steelers can get at least 13. I think those are all this stuff is super realistic. But again, it only takes 1. That's why it's a little bit more of a risk, but it's going to pay more. So if you want a little higher risk reward, if you're okay with that, then this is a good one to take.
Okay, now it is lock time. Chuck, you lock us down. Okay. Win this money. This is similar to Noah's.
College parlays is gonna. I think I'm 0 for 2 on these college parlays. But the first week I did like 13 teams, and one of them I can't remember who it was the first week. But last week we already talked about the ASU. Everything hit. Everything was fine. We're just waiting on ASU. My girlfriend went to ASU. We're watching it. We're like, oh, this is gonna be fun. Let's watch the ASU destroy Eastern Michigan. It's weird that they're losing. Like, well, they'll catch up in the second half. It'll be fine. It's third quarter. It's fourth quarter. When is the turnaround here? Like, it just never came. It was kind of sad. So he got fired. So rightfully so, because I lost like $30. And here we go with this 8 college pick parlay now. So we got Penn State over CMU. And people even know what that is? I think it's Central Michigan, but come on. Yes. Penn State should dominate. Michigan, I mean, they got Harbaugh as the coach. They're still pretty dominant. I think that's a huge spread over Maryland. Ole Miss, I mean, come on, Tulsa, these are super lopsided. Kentucky and Northern Illinois. Ohio State over Wisconsin. Now that one might not look so lopsided, but I watched that Wisconsin game and they're not that good. They were ranked like number 18, but they fell out of the rankings and I don't think they're coming back anytime soon. Florida State over Boston College. You got Washington, the Huskies. They look good, man. They got a new coach. They got a new QB. I think they're kicking on all cylinders. And Stanford, they just haven't been the same since like Andrew Luck left or something. So that shouldn't be too big of a deal. And then Louisville's been pretty hot this year. I think they can handle their business with South Florida.
There you have it, guys. Make sure that you get this. We'll get these screenshots of these up and make sure that you get a visual of this in case you missed the show. So
yeah, we're going to post these pictures on the Facebook page too, just in case.
Absolutely, we'll be posting this up, guys, to make sure you're right after the show. Because we do have Browns and Steelers tonight, and you've got a lot of action on that. So, yes, that will definitely be on there. Love the college parlay. Someone's going to hit. And, guys, maybe it's me. Oh, I did a very minimal college parlay this week, and I don't think these are games that you guys had. So, this is different. This will get you another chance to get on some action. So, this is plus 204. This is a 4-game parlay, plus 204 on the money line, guys. Syracuse, you mentioned Syracuse. Chuck.
Yeah.
Big upset they had over Clemson. Had the Syracuse Orange undefeated. They look like world beaters right now.
Really?
Syracuse, oh my goodness, Syracuse under Coach Dino Babers. Definitely here. Virginia's been just horrendous this year, guys. They're just absolutely awful. So, yeah, Syracuse beat Louisville 31-14 in the first game of the season. They just killed UConn, and then they got a big win over Purdue. So they're 3-0. And this is a team to watch out for. Watch Syracuse as we go on here. So that Clemson at Wake Forest. I think Wake Forest coach Dave Clawson. They're a nice little story. They're fun to talk about. Clemson's going to go in there. Dabo Swinney, he talked about the respect he had for Louisiana Tech and Sonny Cumbie a week ago. They're going to go on the road in ACC play. Clemson at Wake Forest. Guys, this is simple. This is what Clemson does. Wake Forest is not a team that steps up and beats these bigger programs. And it's not to happen. Here's one that pained me, and this is one that a lot of people are talking about. I have this on my parlay because, guys, Missouri at Auburn. Under Coach Eli Drakewitz, Missouri only 2 road wins. One of those was at Vanderbilt. One was at South Carolina. 2 road wins, 2 years. Missouri is a terrible road team under Coach Eli Drakewitz. They're going to Auburn. They're desperate. Brian Harsin. There's talk that if Brian Harsin and the Auburn Tigers lose this game, that he will be fired after that game.
Wow.
I mean, that's where we're at. And Iowa, I bet against last week. I bet on to cover the 24. They lost by 27. Lost that one. It was a weird game with weather delays and all sorts of problems. So there's your parlay. Pack up 4 games. It's simple. Plus 204. It's a good payout. Syracuse, Clemson, Auburn, and Iowa. And we had a quick question about the Missouri game. Great show, guys. Taking this to the bank. Well, Jim, let's hold off on that. Missouri really can't cover at Auburn. If they can't, they aren't winning more than 4 games this year. Tim, I hate to tell you this. I think that's the direction Missouri did. You saw when they went on the road to Kansas State, just getting blown out 40-12. And this Auburn team is great. They're without quarterbacks in this game. It's going to be kind of a weird game, but Auburn is 7-point favorite in this game. And I'm not taking the points here, but Auburn outright. I mean, I think Missouri on its way to a 4 or 5 win season here. So question there, Jim, keep on keeping on. Chiefs, this is just simple. Noah talked about it. You guys have talked nauseum. Chiefs at Colts. I'm going to be there in Indy, guys. Chiefs -5.5. Indianapolis. That's self-explanatory. The Chiefs 7-0. Patrick Mahomes 7-0 on the road in domes in his career, and only 2 losses in his career in September. This is prime Chiefs to go. The Colts had their chances to open the season with Texans and you come out 0-1-1. Your season's over. Home opener for Indy. Maybe you get a little juice out of the gate. They not gonna be able to keep that going. When here's a money line parlay for you. I think you guys have mentioned a couple of these games. I got packaging up Chargers 49ers and the Eagles. Man, the Niners go on the road. What, a 1.5, 1 point favorite at Denver? Nathaniel Hackett, the Denver Broncos, look really inept. Russell Wilson's not himself. They are not the team Colin Cowherd and everyone they were going to be. 49ers, a very small favorite. No problem there. You mentioned Jags at your self-explanatory, Eagles at Commanders. Eagles, man, look, did anybody have Jalen Hurts as an MVP candidate on their bingo card this year?
Mhm.
That's where we're at through a couple weeks. The Commanders, they look lost. They absolutely got blitzed. And they're not a team that can compete even in that weak division. So Chargers, Niners, Eagles, package them up. 3 games plus 215. Here's one, guys. This is not one that you look at and you say, oh, this is easy. How about Arkansas A&M? Straight up, Arkansas plus 5. Razorbacks are the underdogs in this game. This game's in Dallas. Arkansas owns A&M. The Aggies are broad. They've already lost Appalachian State. Arkansas had a close run-in with Missouri State last week, but KJ Jefferson, Sam Pittman, Arkansas teams for real. They are your pick here, Arkansas A&M Razorbacks to win outright. This is a game that they underdogs in by a couple points. So Arkansas, simple, get it. The line must have moved since I did this. Rams -3. No, you already talked about it. You already talked about Kyler Murray and the Raiders fan slapping Murray after the victory celebration in the locker room or in the end zone after the game. Rams, I think the line has moved up 3.5, which is a big deal here. See this graphic. So, but we're still on the Rams, the 3.5 or wherever you get it out using DraftKings, Bovada, MyBookie, any of the sports books. So there you have it. Rams -3 card. I kept it simple. I'm a big Kiss fan, Chuck. So what do they say? Keep it simple, stupid. That's what I've done.
I love it.
Here we are.
That's all great stuff. I'm going to have to look what you guys post these. I might copy some of these bets. Some of these, I think some of the stuff's no brainer. Bills, Chiefs. I mean, you think it's a no brainer, but you never know with the NFL.
You've got these college games. We got some good parlays, teams that should win. And especially with the college kids, you just don't know what their motivating factors are and what's going on. And are they going to show up? And so it's tough, and they go on the road and they're flying high after Notre Dame. I'm talking about the Marshall Thundering Herd, and then they go to Bowling Green, and you're like, well, they just beat Notre Dame, but unfortunately it doesn't transfer over, and they lose.
Right.
And your money line parlay 7 games is busted. So
yeah, you can always also take an alternate spread, like the Bills. I think what is it, -6? I mean, you could take it at -3 or -2.5 if you're not sure. And then, as long as they win by at least that much, or I mean, I guess you could always do money line, but then that's not going to pay as much. So it's a lot of things that you can play with in that DraftKings app. I really enjoy that app. It's amazing.
Well, we have a question here, and this is not a game that any of us had, but we're glad to address any question that we have here. How are the Raiders -2 over Titans? Like the Titans outright. That's a good question.
Titans
it's not a game that any of us picked. Right.
Titans screwed me in that first week, I think. I thought they were going to cover. I can't remember. I think I took them to win. Who did they lose to in the first
Giants?
Week? Yeah. The Giants? What? The Giants are 2-0.
Yeah.
They're one of the few 2-0 teams. So
yeah,
I think this is the week that the teams truly reveal themselves. The masks will come off. You'll see who's legit contenders and who's a pretender. And after the third week, I think we'll know a lot more.
Noah, are you comfortable with anything on that game? Taking the Titans outright, the Raiders -2.
I'm not.
I don't.
They're
like
both
anything.
so just unsure of themselves, and they can't find an identity. The Raiders bring over Devontae Adams in a trade from the Packers, and they can't even get him the ball. And so they're like, "Hey, we're former teammates at Fresno State, Derek Carr and Devontae Adams. This is going to be great. Everything's going to be sunshine and roses." And it's anything but that. And they had a big lead over the Cardinals. They let that go. So there's a lot of problems in Vegas. There's a lot of problems with the Titans not having A.J. Brown, trying to figure out how do we get Derrick Henry going. Everyone's keying on that. We can't really throw the ball. Tannehill's struggling. Do we go to the young kid, Malik Willis, we drafted out of Liberty? So there's just so many questions with both teams. I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole.
Who do you think is the more mediocre quarterback, Ryan Tannehill or David Carr?
Tannehill. I like Carr. I do. Now, not when it comes to Mahomes or Justin Herbert or Burrow or Josh Allen or some of these other guys. But for as much flack and hate as he gets, I think he's better than that. He's better than a Ryan Tannehill by a pretty considerable margin. Tannehill, if they don't have that run game going and he can't do play action off that, then he's just pretty much worth nothing because
Ryan Tannehill's been to an AFC Championship game. Ryan Tannehill's been in the playoffs. Ryan Tannehill has won something in this league. Derek Carr is just a complete pure loser. We need more than 8 years of evidence. All of us, we need more than 8 years to Derek Carr is just a complete loser.
Well, I mean, put Ryan Tannehill with the Raiders organization and put Derek Carr with Derrick Henry and A.J. Brown. And I mean, I think it would be a completely different. I think the Titans would take that trade straight up right now, Tannehill for Derek Carr.
So wait, doesn't Carr have Darren Waller? That guy's a freaking beast. And then they got Josh Jacobs, who's pretty good. And then didn't you just say, isn't Devontae Adams is on the Raiders now? I mean, how many more weapons do we need to get this guy?
Yeah, I mean, they've got Josh McDaniels. We've already seen what he did with the Broncos. He imploded and had to run back to the Patriots, and that's what's going to happen here with the Raiders, maybe just in time for Bill Belichick to retire and Robert Kraft to be like, you're my buddy. You've been here. Why don't you be head coach of the Patriots? But the Titans have a defensive head coach, a strong run game, much better than the Raiders do, a good offensive line where the Raiders don't have a good offensive line. There's a lot of other issues than just, hey, he's got Devontae Adams and Darren Waller. Derek Carr should be just lighting the league up, and where Ryan Tannehill shouldn't be. And Ryan Tannehill isn't, but when you've got Derrick Henry, you're getting 2,000 yards a season. You've got the play action that sucks up the linebackers and the front seven. And so it leaves wide open windows behind where Derek Carr doesn't have that. I'd take Derek Carr over Tannehill anyway.
I mean, I think that's a fair argument. I probably would too. I would. But Derek Carr is also the most turnover-prone quarterback, maybe since Phillip Rivers, that I've seen in clutch situations. We saw it week 1 against the Chargers. We saw it week 2. They just crapping another game away. That's what they do. It's what he does. And that's
I'm not saying I'd be happy with Derek Carr. I'm just saying I'd take him over Tannehill. It's a very low bar to climb over. And that's what
wouldn't you rather, if you had Tannehill or Carr, I don't think Carr's a bad quarter. I don't even think Tannehill's bad. I think they're mediocre. And I think that's poison in the NFL because you can never get to that next level. You need to just have like what the Seahawks are doing this year. They're going, hey, we're going to start Geno Smith. I know what they're thinking. They're going, we're going to tank this season. We're going to get a good draft pick. Then we're going to get our marquee quarterback, and then we'll be better next year. That you got to take the tank season, get the draft pick, get the quarterback. You get your Mahomes, your Justin Herbert, whatever, and then boom, you're good for the next 10, 15, maybe 20 years.
It's an excellent point, and that's something that I think cripples a lot of NFL organizations, Chuck, is the inability to realize that there's a try to get better. And I think that's the Raiders right there in a nutshell. They thought they had Tom Brady a couple ago. John Gruden wanted to take the credit for whatever he's trying to turn around in this organization. And that's poison. Talk about it being poison. Someone like a Dak Prescott poison to me. Kyler Murray's poison to me. That might be controversial, but these guys, especially when you get these contracts that we're seeing, just absolutely crippling when you can't move on. You can't get out of it. I mean, we talk about Dak Prescott all the time, Noah. Would you rather have Dak Prescott or Derek Carr? How about that one?
Oh, boy.
I know. I don't have an answer either.
Would you rather eat shit or vomit? Those are your choices. No, it's not that bad.
I mean, I think the ultimate dose of poison is Lamar Jackson, which is a weird thing to say because you're going to have to pay him. You can't get rid of him. You can't explain getting rid of him, but I don't think you're ever going to win a meaningful playoff game, get to a Super Bowl with him, but you're going to have to pay him all this money and run this offense. And okay, here we go.
Yeah.
But
they offered him like $250 million and he turned it down.
Yeah.
That can't sit well with the fan base. If I'm a Ravens fan, I'm like, really? They just offered you $250 million and that's not good enough for you? Like, goodbye. See you later. I'd take the draft picks. How many draft picks do you think you get for him?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I'd take 2 firsts. That's fair.
I don't know if they could get to, maybe it probably won't first and some second. I don't know.
But no, Noah's right. Like you can't win a Super Bowl with a strictly running quarterback. Like you need a pocket passer or mobile passer like an Aaron Rodgers or Patrick Mahomes. So I would rather go for that model of a quarterback than have just a running quarterback. It doesn't play out well in the long run.
I've always said I don't understand how the coaching staff, the they have to structure the offense and knowing the limitations. And I just think that would get tiring as a coaching staff. Meanwhile, like you're in Kansas City, got Patrick Mahomes. I just picture Eric Bieniemy, in the offseason, just with his feet up on the beach, drinking Mai Tais, just thinking about like, oh, well, what can't we do with Mahomes? Oh, I don't know. We might implement a little of this zone read here, RPO action here. We got these running backs. We got these receivers. And I mean, it's night and day. And I just, as a coaching staff, I would want no part of this Lamar Jackson thing. And knowing that full well that he's a regular season, I mean, he's what, 68%, 70, almost close to 70% winning percentage in the regular season. But it's good for moments, for games. It's good for big yardage like last week. But in the end of the day, they lose to the Dolphins. And that can't happen.
Yeah, and just that's what's going to happen when you get into these playoff games and divisional round, AFC championships. Lamar Jackson's just going to come up short because he's not going to be able to consistently make the throws you need to make in playoff games, late in playoff games, to get his team over the hump and win and get to a Super Bowl. And you don't have to have this quarterback. Even if you have a mediocre quarterback, you don't have to just suck and tank. The Chiefs were 27th when they moved up from there, 17 spots to 10 to take Patrick Mahomes. So you've just got to identify your guy and decide, we're making this move. I don't care. Alex Smith just had his best year. We're making this move for Patrick Mahomes. We're getting rid of Alex Smith. We're just in purgatory here with Alex. He's fine. He can get us through. He can get us 10, 11 wins.
He's a David Carr.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. You got to move on. You got to think, is this the guy that's going to win me the Super Bowl? Likely not. I mean, yeah, Joe Flacco won a Super Bowl, but like that was more because of the defense and stuff. So
yeah, you got to take a look at where your organization is, where your roster's at. Do we have the defense that can carry this home? What are we going to be able to build around Lamar Jackson? How much are we going to need to push that through to an AFC championship game and a Super Bowl? I think it's too much, especially when you're paying him $250 million or just guaranteeing $250 million. And there's more on top of that, $300, $400, $500 million over the lifetime. And that's just too much salary to commit to having to build so much around him, weapons wise and defense and special teams to get over the hump. So I'd move on from Lamar Jackson. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you explain it. I don't know where you go after that. Bring in a Jacoby Brissett. No, we're going to try and find a guy here eventually. We just didn't think we were going to get all the way with Lamar. So I'm sorry. You guys on board with this? No?
I would respect that as a fan. I'd respect it.
You're one of the very few. We are one of the very few that would respect it and understand it. Ravens fans would be up in arms, especially with what
Chuck is dealing with it right now.
Quarterback. Yeah.
Well, it's funny. Yeah. Because you look at that and I kind of get it now. I mean, look at the Seahawks beat the Broncos with Russell Wilson. And then I don't think he didn't do that great in week 2. And you're starting to see like, okay, too, it also depends on the coach mindset. I think Pete Carroll is I want to play defense and run the ball. But unfortunately, sometimes you need to pass. And Geno Smith is just ultimately, that's another guy who's like the mask came off. Like the first half of that Broncos game, you're like, wow, this is the new Geno Smith. And then the second half, you started to see the mask kind of fall off. And then the second week, it was on the ground and it was crumbling in pieces. And he looked like the old Geno Smith. And I think that's going to be what's going forward for Seattle. I think they're legitimately, I mean, the fact that Pete didn't even try to trade for like a Baker Mayfield or a Jimmy G or any of those guys that, and he says Geno Smith and Drew Lock, we have 2 number ones. So maybe it's time to go to the other number 1. We'll see.
Yeah.
Probably going for Bryce Young there at Alabama. So that's kind of what they're hoping for.
Yeah. I think there's like 3 marquee quarterbacks in the draft: Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, and then there's one more that I'm spacing on. But yeah, there's 3, maybe 4 Brady that Cook. Are going to be. What's that?
Brady Cook out of Mizzou. Is that the other one you were thinking of?
Hey,
is he good?
No, what? Don't unnecessary. I'm already down. I'm already betting against Mizzou in a parlay. Like, we'll see. Brady Cook, give him a chance. We're going to go to Auburn and probably win that game. Bet against your team more often, guys.
So what if you're going to actually root for Auburn? You're going to root against Mizzou? Like, see that? I don't think I could bet against the team that I like. Nope. It's really hard.
Let me tell you, this is the way to go because my cousin, huge Royals fan, he bet when the Royals were in the World Series, he bet $10,000 on the Mets because
What?
he was so in such a psychological state that he was like, I have to get something. This was when the World's the greatest ever done, or the money and on the team. So like he had to do it as like a defense mechanism. I get it. I think I'm kind of going in the direction here.
Either we win the championship or we win
yeah.
a load of money.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like you pay $10,000 and to get your team to win the Super Bowl. You're out 10,000, but you got
yeah.
It's an interesting way to look at it. Yeah.
And he was so happy when they won. It didn't affect him at
enjoy
all.
the
He was like, "This is
$10,000?
great." Yeah.
That's like a car. What? Like,
He lives in Vegas. He's a pro poker player, so he does what he does. Like, I think that there's something to that, and that's where I'm on board. So I got Auburn, and we'll see. I'm cheering from Mizzou as always, and I love that. So
it's going to be a fun weekend regardless. I love football. It takes up like my whole fall. It takes up a lot of my life. I love it. My girlfriend somehow tolerates it, but I'll be watching all these games. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, guys, make sure you come back to the Facebook page, and we're going to have all of our picks up there, nice and clean for you, so you can get some money. And again, we're not pro sports handicappers. We aren't pro anything, really. We are here to have fun, entertain, and hopefully, win you guys some money and some bets that maybe you wouldn't look at.
Yeah,
keep you thinking. Yeah,
maybe you're thinking that our points don't make any sense.
Yeah, we need to hear that too. We love to hear it, guys. Thank you for joining us here on Winner Take It All. We'll be back next week. Thanks so much.